The section of the ancient city of Constantinople called Pera started to become the foreign quarter when King Francis I of France, the first European monarch to establish diplomatic relations with the Ottoman Empire, built his embassy there in the 16th century. By the 18th century, all of the European embassies were located in the area of the city on the north side of the Bosphorus. The neighborhood slowly started to develop a European atmosphere that grew as trade with Europe grew. A trade agreement with Britain in 1838, as well as certain political reforms, drew nearly 100,000 Westerners to the city in the latter part of the 19th century. Created as a separate administrative district, Pera became a test case for European ideas like street cleaning and street lamps. As these Westerners tended to be wealthier than the people living in the old city, the section of Pera had larger, more majestic buildings, and a much higher percentage of those were built with stone than the rest of the city. Pera included the sumptuous opera house, the Nam Theatre, the cultural center of the district. The British Embassy, called Pera House, had been built in 1856 after the previous embassy had been burnt to the ground in a fire in 1831. The new embassy, a massive stone structure, was more expensive than any other British embassy and seemingly immune to fires that often plagued the city. In fact, all of Pera seemed to think that their modern European district was safe from fire. On June 5th, 1870, a fire started in the nearby Armenian section of town. High winds drove the fire quickly, and fire crews, poorly trained and ill equipped, were overwhelmed. The winds were said to push down the flames in great horizontal sheets that engulfed buildings from the roof on down. The wind died down around 7 p.m. and the fires went out, but in those 6 hours the fire managed to burn nearly two-thirds of Pera to its foundations. The American and Portuguese consulates were destroyed. The Nam Theatre was burned to the ground. The palace of the Armenian Patriarch, the spiritual head of the Armenian Church, was completely destroyed, along with many other churches and mosques and some 3,000 homes. The British embassy still stood, but was gutted and nearly destroyed. The New York Tribune summed up the disaster when it wrote, "The most graphic accounts of the Great Fire of Constantinople failed to convey an idea of its horrors." It was the beginning of the end for the foreign quarter, as many of the larger minority communities left the city over the following years.